Everyone, this is Eddie with DK Pittsburgh Sports. Just wanted to let you know before we get into Steelers today that this show, as always, is brought to you by BetQL, the only app that you're going to need to make smart bets and get an advantage over your sportbook. Check this out. They scan over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game in every single major sport. It covers everything: spreads, over-unders, player prop bets. Not only they got you covered on every bet, but their algorithms look at historical performance, matchups, weather, injuries, coaching, and so much more. They give you in-game line movements so that you can jump on bets in real time. It's sharp data to see who the pros are backing so that you're not left behind. So if you want to get started right now, you can do one of two things. You can go to try.betql.co/DKPS, or just make your life easy and download the BetQL app. Again, that's try.betql.co/DKPS if you're going to go online. Enter code DKPS at checkout for 25% off any subscription, or if you use the BetMGM offer, you get a free year of BetQL. BetQL's best bets algorithms went 13-2 on 5-star bets for the Week 1 NFL games between Thursday and Sunday. So you definitely need to take advantage of BetQL now.
Well, hello and welcome to Steelers Today. And he's Dale Lolley and I'm Dejan Kovacevic, and we don't have a whole lot to say. Actually,
I got a lot to say.
we don't have a whole lot to say that anybody'd want to hear. How about that?
Well, I think there will be some stuff that people want to hear. I think the Steelers right now at 1-2 obviously are struggling. There's no doubt that they're struggling offensively. They just can't seem to get anything going, and I just don't see a ton of, to be quite frank, imagination out of Matt Canada's offense. I just see a lot of blah. Nothing drives that home more than when if you have 4th and goal at the 11, there's a timeout called. You walk over to the sideline, you come out of that, and your main target on a 4th down play late in the game when you need a touchdown, not that it would have made any difference, but it's a check down to Najee Harris in the flat. And when I asked about that, I was told, well, we had used all of our offensive plays up at that point. Really?
Yeah, that came, by the way, the response was from Mike Tomlin.
Correct.
Not from Canada, who we won't have access to until Thursday. That play, by the way, was reviewed on site by the citizens, and it was met with one hell of a robust thumbs down. This is Pittsburgh, and people know what good football and what winning football and authoritative football looks like. We saw that on one drive this afternoon.
I'll say this in terms of the first half. They had at least 3 big plays by Najee Harris called back because of penalties. Whether you want to, I'm not blaming the officiating at all. If they called a penalty, it was a penalty. But those can't happen when you're negating, 10-plus yard runs.
No,
when
Pat
you're struggling to run the football.
Yeah, I asked Pat Freiermuth about that after the game because one of the points, Dale, as you know, over on the south side, we were over there covering practice this week, that they kept making again and again was that the blocking was one mistake away from being this or one mistake away from being that. Well, we actually saw that on display because Harris was picking up his yards.
Yeah.
And they were all getting negated, even his pass plays. It was like they hated him or something, And you knew specifically and said as much that this officiating crew throws a lot of flags. Well, that's also part of your game prep. Okay, that's not something that you go out there in the first quarter and go, hey, these guys are throwing a lot of flags. We better watch it with the holding. You know all this beforehand.
Yeah, you can't be surprised by it when the officiating crew had called 8 holding penalties in their first 2 games. That's 4 a game. The Bengals hadn't been penalized for holding in a game yet this year. The Steelers had 1 in their first 2 games.
And all of a sudden, the
flags are flying left and right on both sides, really, to be honest. But it just negated some big plays for the Steelers, put them behind the chains. And they're not a team that's built to come from behind the chains. They just aren't right now because of that offensive line.
Now, here's the problem with coming up with anything resembling a specific subject matter related to this team right now is that there are no exceptions to it. My goodness, Chris Boswell missed a field goal. Like, if you want to get into, Pat Fryermuth dropped a pass. I don't think I've ever seen him drop a pass in a practice. Okay. Yeah. And when you're seeing something go bad, you see it go bad on a really, really big scale like this. I can't begin to imagine how these coaches, including their own work, would begin to approach a week like this that's coming up.
Well, you have to, and that's why they're paid to do what they do. You go back to scratch. You find, the 10 plays that you do the best, and you focus on those, and then you build off of that. It's all they can do at this point. The defense should be healthier moving forward. This is a team that's built to win with their defense right now. We knew the offense was going to be a work in progress. I think, at this point, just too much is being placed on that offense because the defense is banged up. If they have their full complement of defensive players out there, who knows? Maybe the outcome of this game is different, but they didn't. That's the reality of the NFL. Guys are going to get hurt. You have to find ways to win the game. As Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. Well, you play to win the game here. This was a player.
Herm said it was so much more gusto, though.
Honestly, if you look at the score of this game, yes, it was 24-10. Much like last week, it's a play here or a play there. So it's not like they're being blown out or just dominated. I don't see that. I see a team that if they can clean some of this stuff up, they can win some of these games, but they better clean it up fast.
Well, the biggest thing that they need to clean up, and you alluded to this, is all the parentheses after all the names. And when you get down to, the trip next week to Green Bay, if you're looking at, I would imagine very much so that T.J. Watt will be back, given that he attempted to practice this week. You might see guys with groin injuries like Alex Highsmith come back. There's a chance that the IR guys,
Johnson back.
the IR guys, whether it's Stephon Tuitt, Zach Banner.
I don't expect Tuitt.
I'm just saying.
No,
but
right,
those
but
are the
they're
guys,
eligible.
They're eligible, those guys, once they come back, Zach Banner might no longer be an optional thing with Chooks Okorafor. That's the other thing that happened in his game, by the way, is a lot of other guys went down. Okay? Yeah. You don't want to see... Okay, look, Chooks has been awful, but you don't want to see him go down.
He's not again, everybody's blaming Chooks for everything here.
I didn't do that.
If it was just Chooks, they would have replaced Chooks.
But I didn't say that.
That's not the case.
I think he's been awful.
I'm not so sure that when Zach Banner comes back, they don't move Chooks back to left tackle and put Dan Moore's butt on the bench. He's not been good either.
Yeah,
Let's not pretend.
But none of them have been good.
Right.
I mean, tell me one guy on that offensive line who's been good.
Everybody loved Kevin Dotson last year.
Dotson was horrible today.
Well. And it's not the first time he's been horrible. He was horrible last week. So it's been contagious, and it just can't continue. This is a circle the wagons week for the Steelers. They're going on the road. Maybe that's a good thing because, let's face it, 10,000 Ians didn't show up for this game today.
Yeah, this was not like last week where there wasn't really so much no-shows as it was people populating the rotundas and so forth.
The Steelers count bodies through the door, and it was 58,000.
This was 10,000 shy of capacity for, pretty safe to say, a big win.
There's a good chance they'll play the Packers next week in Green Bay, and the Packers very well could be 1-2 as well. We're shooting this before Green Bay plays at Sunday night. I guarantee you, folks, that Lambeau Field will be packed to the brim with Lambeau Field.
Field's always filled.
So spare me I get it. Steeler fans want a winner, and I get it. Everybody does, but show up for the game.
Well, there's a lot of layers to that. There's people who don't live in Pittsburgh, who don't sell their tickets off. That's a problem with about 5,000, 6,000 fans. This isn't a matter of Pittsburgh not showing up for the Steelers. It's a matter of half of the season ticket base doesn't live in Western Pennsylvania anymore.
And again, I don't blame them.
That to me is an issue that's bigger than when we come back.
The Steelers didn't show up either today. So
that is accurate. When we come back, we're going to talk about the quarterback specifically. Okay, so Dale, we're replacing the quarterback for next week against Green Bay, or we're not?
Yeah, we're not.
No, we're not. Okay, that's the end of the segment. Thanks for watching that. No, really, this portion of Steelers Today is brought to you by BetQL. And Dale, he's been bad. Okay,
there have been extenuating circumstances.
If we can set it aside, which is what you're doing in your written piece for DK Pittsburgh Sports. If you set aside the other stuff and just focus on Ben, What's going on?
He doesn't trust the line. Therefore, he's not stepping up into throws. He's not trusting, the protection to be there for him. He's getting hit too often, which is affecting the throws as well. They can't run the football, which again, it all comes back to the line. It comes back to the receivers not making plays.
But you're
he's
still
been
leaving
off
Ben
too.
out. Yeah, I mean, because
here's the thing.
how many of these sacks did he take himself, or were there coverage sacks?
It was probably at least 2 of them were coverage sacks, maybe 3. Here's the thing. I see him in practice when he understands that he's not going to be hit making good, strong throws. Then he gets into a game and the same throws he's high on, he's behind on. That tells me that, again, he doesn't trust his line. Now, he's going to say, yeah, I trust the line. Those are my guys, blah, blah, blah. But it's obvious watching him that he doesn't. And I don't blame him for doing that. This is a problem. And until you figure out a way to fix that or make it at least cobble together a running game without everything being called back because of holding penalties, it's going to continue.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. Who does he trust? Because you're out there, and and I know that as soon as you saw him in no huddle and they started moving the ball, you're thinking, oh, okay, here he goes. He's overruling the offensive coordinator and all the other typical drama stuff, right? But in addition to that, I haven't had a chance yet to count the drops.
There were several.
Oh, my goodness. And it was almost universal, like everybody but Juju. Okay?
That's because he got hurt.
And that's, Juju's still not prone to drops.
Right.
But, who does he trust? If he can't trust the offensive line, if he can't trust the tight ends, each of whom dropped a pass, if he can't trust the wide receivers, and maybe can't trust the coordinator, what the hell are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe he doesn't trust his own arm at times, too.
It's a problem. I mean, and I don't know how they fix it. Again, his rookie year, they simplified things. It worked really well. Maybe you go back to that. But it can't get... the offense can't be 19 check down passes to Najee Harris. It just can't be. You're going to get the kid broken in 2. He's limping around downstairs because, not only was it 14 catches and, I don't know, he had almost 30 touches in this game. Again, he had 3 or 4 plays called back because of penalties. He's also had on those balls that he either dropped or didn't catch, he got hit on.
All right. I told you that during the game in the press box. I said they're going to get this kid broken in half by week 6.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do is break the new toy here. They have to figure something out offensively. Chase Claypool needs to catch the football. Freiermuth on those when he gets those opportunities like that has to catch a football. Eric Ebron has to catch a football. I mean, where do you leave this?
I'm going to throw one more in here because a lot of people will look at James Washington as he's kind of like the backup quarterback. We all want James Washington to play. And James Washington gets on the field, gets his opportunity. Ben put up what I thought coming out of his hand was a pretty good deep ball. You know which one I'm talking about. A lot of air under it. An NFL wide receiver runs under that football and catches it. Either James Washington was unable to accelerate, didn't read it right, didn't time it right, but for that ball to just plop a couple of yards in front of him was a really bad look. And that's one of the it's one. The only reason I mention it now is not to pick on James Washington, but we can pick on anybody, but is to underscore the fact that there were a lot of things that happened out there that kind of fly in the face a lot of the more common narratives. Ben doesn't have the arm anymore. That was a really good deep throw. Yeah. And we all should have been talking about the 75-yard bomb to James Washington.
At the very least, you dive for that and try to make the catch.
And didn't do anything. He didn't do anything.
And it's a 40-yard catch. There's all kinds of plays that you think about that they left out there. There was a play right after they get a stop on third down. It's or second down, I think it was. There was a pass that was deflected. And Minka Fitzpatrick dives and just misses intercepting it. He picks that off. The Steelers get the ball back at the 40-yard line.
Minka had a couple chances to pick balls off. Now, one of them ended up being an interception, the ones that caromed up in the air to Terrell Edmonds. But he hasn't, there's no exceptions to this.
It's hard to find anybody that played well in this game.
It's
hard to find anybody that coached well in this game.
Christian Kuntz, the long snapper.
Was A-okay.
Presley Harvin III.
He was okay.
He was okay.
Yeah.
What else we got? Yeah. I mean, this was just bad.
Hopefully our stories are better than that.
Let's go get to work on
Let's
this.
do that.
All right.